Hey everyone. Today we had an interesting support request from a user. They wanted to know how they could leverage Level to detect unauthorized or unexpected administrators on their endpoints. I thought this would be relevant for everyone, so I wanted to record a video on how you can do this. Let's get started. We'll start with creating a custom field to store the list of administrators that we are expecting on our devices. So let's call this authorized admins. And let's go ahead and define some default values that's going to be populated down to all of our endpoints. So we'll do administrator and level. Note, I'm just doing a comma separated list of values, and that's just really easy to parse with a script. So now we've defined this custom field that contains the list of admins that we are expecting on our endpoints. If we pull up any of our endpoints and we look at the custom fields, we can see that they've inherited that default value that we defined globally when we created the field. But that's the power of custom fields, is that we can actually override this value at the device level or the group level if there's an exception. So I can just click edit here to do it at the device level. And if I wanted to do this at the group level, we can go to group settings, custom fields, and edit it there. So right now we're not doing anything fancy. We just have a list of users that are expected. We actually need to run some type of automation here to detect the unexpected or unauthorized ones. So let's go ahead and create a new automation. Let's call it check admin users. We'll just do a manual trigger for now. And we're going to start with running a script that just gets the local admins on a device. So let's create a new script. We'll call this Windows get local admins. Okay. So I have a really simple PowerShell script here that's just grabbing all of the administrators that are enabled on the account. Here we're removing the computer name or the host name, so we just have a list of usernames, and we're separating them by a comma and just outputting that to the console. So let's go ahead and create this script. And one thing is, since we're outputting this list of detected admins, what I want to do is actually save that to a variable so we can reference it later. So I'm just going to name this get local admins, and I'm going to go ahead and create a variable called detected admins, and I'm going to save the output of our get local admin script to the detected admins variable. All right. So let's just manually test out this pipeline and see how it works. So I'm just going to add one of our Windows devices. And we'll see here, I would expect a comma separated list. We got Bob, Jamie, and Level. Now, in this case, if we refer back to that custom field, the unexpected users would be Bob and Jamie. But right now, this script finished as a success, right? Because we're just grabbing the local admins and that was successful. Now we need to write a script that actually compares that custom field to the variable that we set here in this script of detected admins. So let's jump over to our scripts. Let's create a new one here. Let's call this Windows Unauthorized Admins. Okay. And here I have a really simple script. We're going to start by we're defining a variable of what the authorized admins are. And for that, we want to reference our custom field. Next, I want to define a script variable for our detected admins. So I'm going to jump over to this variable section here. I'm going to create a new variable called detected admins. Then I'm going to go back over here and we're going to use that script variable right here. Okay. So we're grabbing the custom field and we're grabbing this script variable. We're splitting it by comma and trimming any spaces and putting this all to lowercase. And then we're doing a comparison here for any users that aren't in the authorized list, but are in the detected list. And we're calling them unauthorized admins. And we're joining that again by a comma. So we have a comma separated list. And if the count of this comma separated list is greater than 0, then we're going to write those unexpected users out and exit with an error. Otherwise, we're going to say there's no unauthorized admins detected and exit successfully. Okay, so let's jump back to the automation and let's add this script in. So note, right when we add this script, we detected, hey, there's a script variable here called detected admins, and it lets us map that script variable to an automation variable, which we set above. All right, and so let's call this check for unauthorized admins. Okay, so let's add that same device back through and see if it detects Bob and Jamie, right? I think that were the two users. So let's see. Okay, we got Bob and Jamie, and then we're going to check for the unauthorized admins, and we can see it returns Bob and Jamie, and it exits with a failure. This is great. So now if we look at the history, we can very quickly identify ones that had anomalies in some way. We could stop here, right? And we could continue to evolve this and start to take action. Like, do we want to go ahead and disable or delete those admin accounts? Let's say we do, and let's jump into how we might do that. So for this, I'm going to create another script, and I'm going to do a generic script to just delete users. Okay. And I am going to just paste in a script that I wrote. All this script is doing is looping through a list of users that we provide, comma separated, and it's disabling them right here. If we wanted to comment that out, here's the code to actually delete the user. And if there's any errors, we exit with an error. So that's known. All right. One thing is we need to replace this users to delete. This is just a PowerShell variable. We need it to be a script variable so that we can pipe in some input from our automation to it. So let's create a variable called users to delete. And let's replace this PowerShell variable with that script variable. There we go. Now, if we jump back to our automation now, we can go ahead and call this. So let's delete users. And now, again, it detected the users to delete variable. And we're going to give it well, we don't want to give it detected admins. So let me just save this real fast. We actually want to jump in here, and you can see if there are unexpected admins, we're actually writing that to out to the console. So what we actually want to do here is create a new variable and call it unauthorized admins. And I want to save the output of this to a variable called unauthorized admins. Okay, so now our delete users can reference the unauthorized admins variable from the step above. So if we detect an unauthorized admin, then we'll just delete the ones that we detected. I'm going to name this, let's call it disable unauthorized admins. All right, let's go ahead and run that device through and see what happens. All right, we got our admins, Bob and Jamie. It detected Bob and Jamie were unauthorized. Oh, and it failed and didn't do the next step. That makes perfect sense. Let's fix that. So on this step here, instead of on action failure failing the pipeline, I really want to suppress and continue. And let's go ahead and make this just a little bit more robust. And I'm going to add a wait for approval here so we get the option of approving or not that step. And after we disable the admins, let's go ahead and check again and see if they have been removed. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to run that again, get local admins. And I think I'll save this to a variable as well. Get local admins. And I'm going to save this to a variable called final admins. So we're checking again, and here's our final admins list. And let's compare that final admin list to see if there is any unauthorized admins in the final admins list. Okay. All right. So that looks pretty good. There's a few things that I still want to address. So on this step, we're suppressing the pipeline and continuing. But if everything's okay, right, and there aren't any unauthorized admins, we're still going to do all of these other steps. So I actually want to add a conditional here to make sure that we don't. So I'm going to say if the check for unauthorized admins failed, meaning there was an issue, then I want to do this step. And I'm going to make the same change to all the remaining steps actually. So again, same check, wait for unauthorized admin or check for unauthorized admins. If that was a failure, then yeah, we want to disable them. Same thing, we don't need to check again unless that step indicated that it was a failure. All right, last but not least. All right, I think this will work out pretty well. So let's test it with an endpoint and see. All right, we got our local admins. We found Bob and Jamie. It's now waiting for my approval. We can see we exited with an error, but continued to the next step as we expected. I'm going to go ahead and approve. So now we're going to disable. You can see user Bob disabled, user Jamie disabled. Perfect. It's now going to get the local admins again. We just got level. Great. And were there any unauthorized? Nope, there weren't. So it finishes successfully. This is really cool. Let's run this device through one more time. And while that's running, I want to kind of jump over to the history really fast. And I want to indicate, so right now we have one running. And this one that has a status of warning, this indicates that level detected an issue, meaning we found an unauthorized admin. However, we were able to continue through and remediate that issue automatically. So I think that other device just finished. So if we pull up the history run from that one as well, I'm going to organize this by time. So here we can see warning was that last one here. Then that one had an issue, but Level was able to remediate it. Here, the device had no issues, right? We got the local admins. We checked for unexpected admins. There were none. So we didn't do any of these remaining steps. And we indicate the overall status as successful. In the event that perhaps we weren't able to disable the user, then these final checks would have caught it and the overall state of the pipeline would have been failed. And this makes auditing really, really easy. So here I'm on the history view for this automation, and I can just filter to any device that had an error or any device that had a warning, right? Meaning there was an issue that Level had to remediate. And if I wanted to, I can just select those and export it to CSV. So if I had an InfoSec team and I needed to report, any violations or issues to, I could very quickly do that. So jumping back to this automation, next, we could add some type of trigger to run this on a schedule, or, and this would be my preference, we could utilize a script-based monitor to trigger this pipeline automatically. So let's do that approach. Let's add another script. This is a Windows monitor. And we're going to call it, we're just going to call it unauthorized admins. Okay. And I have a script here. We'll kind of dive into this. It's essentially a combination of the get local admin script and the unauthorized admin script. So here you can see we're utilizing the custom field that we've defined to grab the authorized admins. Then we're grabbing the current admins on the device, separating them by a comma, just as we were before. And we have That's saved to a variable called detected admins. Then we're comparing that to find the unauthorized one. And here you can see finally at the end of the script, we're just alert, unauthorized admins detected, and we're listing out them. Otherwise, no unauthorized admins detected. So I'm going to save this script. We're going to jump over to our policies. And I have a security policy here. And I'm just going to add a new monitor. We're going to say unauthorized admins. This is going to be a script-based monitor. I'm going to mark this as a critical severity. And we're going to pull up our monitor to check for unauthorized admins. And if the output of that contains alert, and I'm going to check this every minute just so we can see stuff in real time. But realistically, maybe you want to check every hour or every 30 minutes, whatever makes sense. For now, we're just going to check every minute. If this alert is no longer valid, meaning the user's been disabled or deleted, then I want to go ahead and automatically resolve it. And here's the neat part. We're going to run that automation that we built earlier if we detect an issue, which should fix everything for us. And then finally, do you want to be notified immediately if an alert is detected? And do you want to be notified again if it's been resolved? So this is great for looping in your InfoSec team. So we'll go ahead and add this monitor. We see it show up. There, we got it going. And you can see this is already notifying our security team. If we jump over to our alerts, you can immediately see we have a bunch of devices with some unexpected admins that were detected. And if we jump over to our automation now, you can see that is an option for one of the triggers is the monitor that we just created. And you can see these devices are now all waiting for me to remediate. So it says, hey, in this case, these are the 3 unexpected admins. Do you want to go ahead and fix that? Yes or no? Same thing. Let's see what this one is. Temp. Okay. And then let's check this one. Robert, right? So let's say they're all good. I want to approve. We'll see this go through. It's going to disable those accounts. And then it's going to check its work and make sure, hey, are there still any unexpected users left over? And there's not. So they will all finish with a warning status, right? Because they weren't in a good state. So if we check our history, we can see these were all triggered, not manually as these other ones were, but these were triggered automatically with that script-based monitor. And you can see that it was able to successfully remediate this issue, but it's indicating that there's a warning so that you know for your security reference later. With this one, you can see triggered it, there were no issues, and it was marked as success. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll put the links to the scripts on our GitHub. Thanks a bunch. Have a great day.